Good afternoon / I guess good evening, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Right Side Broadcasting. Sorry, we were just getting on the air right away, so I'm just fixing a couple of things here, but I believe you can hear me. And so what's going on is that the White House is making a major announcement. There's going to be a major announcement about North Korea at the White House, and I can tell you basically what that announcement is going to be because it's just been reported in the last few minutes. So give me a second here and I'll get the information up on the screen. But the announcement is basically going to concern a message that Kim Jong-un, leader of North Korea, has sent to President Trump, offering to meet with President Trump and discuss the situation going on on the Korean Peninsula. But let me show you specifically what we're talking about here. So, and we're going to have the actual announcement for you. That should be happening in about 8 minutes. But let me give you this. Here is what Jennifer Griffin from Fox is reporting. She says, senior U.S. official tells me South Korean National Security Advisor will announce at 7 p.m. from the White House an invitation from Kim Jong-un to meet President Trump, no change to planned U.S.-South Korea military exercises in April, and commitment by Kim Jong-un to stop nuclear and missile testing. Now, the only real big news there is the fact that Kim Jong-un has invited President Trump to meet. We had heard in the last few days that military exercises were still happening between the U.S. and South Korea, and we'd already heard that Kim Jong-un had told, South Korea had said Kim Jong-un had told them he would stop nuclear and missile testing while these negotiations with South Korea were going on. There's supposed to be a summit with South Korea and North Korea in April. So the real piece of news here is that apparently Kim Jong-un, leader of North Korea, has sent a message to President Trump asking to meet. Now, that in itself isn't necessarily the most consequential news because President Trump has said in the past, if I'm getting it right, that he would only be open to talks with North Korea if they made commitment to, I believe if I have to get it right, but something like if they committed to giving up their nuclear weapons. So basically, I remember whenever the administration has said, well, we would talk to North Korea if, it's been a position that North Korea wouldn't want to take, at least so far. So I wouldn't assume just because Kim Jong-un is inviting President Trump to meet that they would actually meet. Actually, I'm guessing President Trump would demand some sort of concessions from Kim Jong-un before he ever met. Also, something to note here is it's one thing for American representatives to meet with North Korean representatives and have talks. But for President Trump to meet with Kim Jong-un, I think it's a bit of a concession of President Trump because he's basically putting Kim Jong-un on President Trump's level. I mean, I do not think President Trump is going to readily go meet with Kim Jong-un without Kim Jong-un making a huge concession. I think it would take some concessions from Kim Jong-un just to get an American delegation to meet with Kim Jong-un. But it's a whole other thing entirely to get President Trump to meet with Kim Jong-un. I might be wrong. I'm just guessing President Trump probably figures, why do I want to, distinguish him as a big world leader by meeting with him if he doesn't make concessions, and why not just send an American delegation to meet with him? So I don't anticipate any kind of Trump-Kim Jong-un meeting happening really soon. I may be wrong, but this is just my take on it. But you might argue it is something very important that Kim Jong-un is actually directly reaching out to President Trump with this invitation to meet. We'll just have to see what the details are. Maybe we'll find out more from the South Koreans in about 5 minutes what exactly is going on with this invitation. I'm going to show you another tweet here from, hang on one second. This is somebody named Vipin Narang, who I follow. He is a professor of political science at MIT. He focuses on nuclear proliferation and strategy. He deals with North Korea stuff a lot, and I think he's a smart guy. He said this. He said, Trump can't and won't accept a personal meeting yet. The rest is good but oldish news. This is a step and confidence-building measures can stop vertical and horizontal proliferation. But Kim isn't giving up his nukes, period. Mark S. Bell has a piece coming out on this. Now, look, America, the administration's position is that North Korea needs to be willing to give up their nuclear weapons. That's what the administration wants, is North Korea to give up their nuclear weapons. And a lot of very smart people think there's no way North Korea will ever do that. So is there any kind of room for a compromise between the two countries if North Korea doesn't give up their nuclear weapons? We'll see. But there certainly is a big gap here. So, some people are worried. Ever since the new year, there's been this new attitude coming from Kim Jong-un and the North Koreans, where they sent a delegation to the Olympics and they sent cheerleaders to the Olympics in South Korea, and they made nice with South Korea. And they had recently, I think in the last week, they had South Korean officials come and visit them in North Korea and meet with Kim Jong-un. And so there have been all these, positive signals coming out of North Korea in the last couple months. But what some experts are worried about is they say, look, in the past, North Korea has negotiated with South Korea, with Western countries like the U.S., and even made agreements with them, and then they just renege on the agreements, and it turns out that they were just trying to get economic concessions and never stop their nuclear program at all, and they keep working on it. So there are a fair number of people out there who are just suspicious of all of the last couple months of North Korea playing nicer, and just say this is something for them to stall. They're looking to help their economy. Maybe they're just looking to avoid President Trump taking military action while they keep working on their program. So this is another question that's out there. So I wouldn't, look at America to necessarily dive right in and say, okay, we will meet with you tomorrow, Kim Jong-un. There's probably a lot of cautiousness going on in the administration right now. But you might see it as a positive sign that he is reaching out and offering to meet, as opposed to not reaching out and not offering to meet. That is Kim Jong-un. So we'll have to see what happens. In about 2 minutes, we're going to have this. Announcement from the White House. It had initially been said that we were going to hear from somebody from South Korea and Sarah Sanders, and it was initially going to be in the White House briefing room. Now they have set up just outside the White House. I know someone from South Korea will be speaking. I don't know if anybody from the administration will be speaking. So we are waiting to hear that. So just waiting, and while I have a minute or two, let me just check here and see if there's any new updates that came on in the last minute or two about this. You can see this is the scene right here. This was posted by Sagar and Jetty of the Daily Caller, I believe, and if I'm getting this right. And yes, and that's outside the White House right now. The microphones are set up. Hang on one second. Let me see if there's anything else I can tell you in the last couple of minutes. And we're hearing, we've been hearing, as Conflict News says, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un offered to suspend nuclear missile testing. I'd be interested in knowing, what is the offer in exchange for what? Suspend nuclear missile testing in exchange for what? That's an important question. So we'll see if there's any more information on that. So once again, any moment now, there is going to be an announcement outside the White House about North Korea, their leader, Kim Jong-un, personally inviting President Trump to meet. As I was explaining before, I don't expect that meeting to happen anytime particularly soon, but it's interesting that he's made this announcement. I don't know if we'll hear from anybody at the White House with this announcement, although it is being held right outside the White House, so I'd be a bit surprised if we didn't hear anything from anybody at the White House. And, now here's a story on it. I'm seeing some more information on this story here. Hang on, I want to just make sure. So this is what, hang on one second here. This is a CNN report. They're saying Kim Jong-un invites President Trump to meet, as we've been saying. North Korea has invited President Donald Trump to meet their leader Kim Jong-un, according to a senior U.S. official. South Korea will make a major announcement concerning this any moment now at the White House. Today, a South Korean delegation came to the White House to brief White House officials on its most recent talks to North Korea, the most significant talks between the two countries in more than a decade. The South Korean officials visiting the White House on Thursday also talked to Trump. They delivered a letter from Kim Jong-un to Trump inviting him to meet. The senior official said, U.S. official said, North Korea has offered to suspend their nuclear missile testing alongside their invitation to talks. Now, they had already offered, South Korea had already said they offered that to them. So that's not entirely new news, because South Korea had said they had told them this, but I think this is the first we're officially hearing this from North Korea, offering to suspend their nuclear missile testing, during talks. This says the leader of the South Korean delegation, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Chung Wee-yong, will make the announcement from the stakeout position outside the West Wing. He will be flanked by the rest of the South Korean delegation. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster will brief the UN Security Council on Monday regarding the situation in North Korea and the talks with the South Korean delegation. Trump has expressed, as we were talking about before, Trump has expressed an openness to dialogue with North Korea, but the Trump administration has said North Korea must first take concrete steps toward denuclearization. A senior administration official told reporters on Tuesday, what we are looking for is concrete steps toward denuclearization. Now, I don't know if freezing their testing during talks really counts as concrete steps toward denuclearization. So I don't know if America would even agree to talks with this point. Any kind of talks, not just President Trump talks, but any kind of talks between representatives between the U.S. and North Korea. I don't know if that would happen at this point. We'll have to see. So we're waiting right now, and Jake Seals is producing. Thank you, Jake. Jake, I'm assuming we are good to go on the press conference when it starts, but let me know about that, Jake, if there's some kind of issue with that. But I'm assuming as soon as this it's at least an announcement. I don't know if they'll be taking questions. I assume, Jake, as soon as this announcement starts, we will go right to it at the White House. And then after the announcement, we'll come back here and we will talk about it some more. If you have comments on this, feel free to write to me on Twitter, at Lookner, at Lookner. To repeat, the announcement is basically expected to be South Korea saying that Kim Jong-un has personally invited President Trump to meet. They will make some sort of offer to pause their nuclear missile testing, maybe nuclear and missile testing, maybe during talks. I'm not sure exactly what the offer would be. And there's something else there, too. I forget. There was a third thing. What was the third thing that we were hearing about this? We're going to hear that there's no planned change on South Korea and U.S. joint exercises, military exercises in April. Just trying to catch up and see if there's any more late news here. Robotic Pressure, our viewer, writes in, dude, I am literally so excited for this, I can't express it. And here's, I showed you a tweet before by Vipin Narang, who's a professor at MIT who works on secure weapons issues in North Korea stuff. And I think he's a smart guy. He just tweeted this out. He said, I dunno, making the Kim Jong-un invite to Trump so public sets the U.S. up to get outplayed or played. Say no, look hell-bent on war. Say yes, gives Kim Jong-un a huge status victory. So I was pointing out before that I agreed with Vipin Narang. There's no way President Trump would say, yeah, I'm going to meet with Kim Jong-un at this point, because that really, if President Trump says, I'm going to go meet with Kim Jong-un, that really gives Kim Jong-un a lot of status as like this really huge world leader, which I'm guessing Donald Trump doesn't want to do. The more realistic scenario is maybe in the future some point an American delegation meets with Kim Jong-un and or people from North Korea. But Vipin Narang makes an interesting point here. What is the strategy of Kim Jong-un here? And it seems like, he's saying, Vipin Narang, look, if President Trump says no, it might look like he doesn't want to make a deal. But and he, like as Vipin Narang says, look, hell bent on war. But if he says yes, gives Kim Jong-un a huge status victory. So it'll be interesting to see how the White House plays this. We are waiting right now. The microphones are out there. I'll show you a shot. I just showed you that shot. I'll show you that photo again of what's going on outside the White House right now. Here it is, posted by Sagar and Jetty. So that's the scene right now. That's what it looks like there. Microphone set up outside the White House. We're just waiting for this major announcement on North Korea, which the substance of which I believe we already know. We've been talking about here. South Korean official expected to speak. Not sure if we'll hear about a North Korean from a White House official. And the way, it was interesting, the way we first found out about this announcement is an hour and a half ago, President Trump stuck his head into the White House briefing room where there were some reporters there and basically said, hey, there's going to be this announcement at 7 o'clock. That's how the world first heard about this announcement, is President Trump sticking his head into the White House press briefing room and telling a few reporters there this. I actually saw a photo earlier of him sticking his head in the door and talking to the reporters. So we didn't know this was supposed to happen. If you have comments while we're waiting, write to me on Twitter, @Lookner, on Twitter, @LOOKNER. Raymond Babbitt writes in and says, it's a trap. Why, Raymond, do you think that? I'd be interested in knowing. Thunderbird 80 says, pinned your feed to R. the Donald. Good luck with your broadcast. Thank you to Thunderbird 80 for spreading the word about this feed. See if there are any updates here as we wait for this briefing, or as we wait for this announcement. So to reiterate, the really big news here seems to be that Kim Jong-un has sent a personal invitation to President Trump to meet on the situation in North Korea. I think the reaching out to President Trump and making the offer is probably the bigger news, given that I don't expect this meeting to happen anytime soon, if ever. But he is reaching out. Yet there is this debate about, has Kim Jong-un's newfound reaching out to South Korea and the U.S. since the new year, does that reflect a genuine change of heart of some sort in North Korea and a genuine desire to reduce and perhaps give up their nuclear program? That's what America wants, is them to give up their nuclear weapons. Is that really realistic for North Korea to do? A lot of smart people say they'll never do it, because as long as they have nuclear weapons that can hit the U.S. and hit U.S. bases and hit U.S. allies, that ensures their survival. So I personally would be absolutely floored and stunned if North Korea ever gave up their nuclear weapons. I would be shocked by it. Another thing I was thinking about is this. China really doesn't want ever North Korea and South Korea to unite and be a pro-Western country. China, that is something they really, really, really do not want to happen. So, not that I think that, I would have to be convinced that Kim Jong-un is now the best friend of South Korea and United States. But if it ever became to where Kim Jong-un started conceding too much, and saying, let's just say Kim Jong-un said, hey, you know what? These weapons we have, they're kind of dumb. We just want a good economy. Maybe we want to, unite with South Korea, reunite with them. I think China would have a huge issue with that. China does not want that to happen. So I'm not saying that is happening now. I don't personally think there's not strong reasons to think it is. There's a lot of other theories about what's going on here. Some people think, look, Kim Jong-un is genuinely scared of President Trump's military threats, and he's trying to avoid a military attack. Some people think, wow, the sanctions have really been biting North Korea. The economy's gotten really bad there, and he's got to take some action to get economic concessions. So there's different theories out there about what's going on. And it's always very hard to tell what's going on in North Korea. Even experts can't tell what's going on there. It's a very closed country, very hard to find out a good idea of what's going on there. And I think the announcement's going to start very soon. So, Jake, I think in a moment we're going to throw to this announcement, so I'm not going to keep talking. I'm waiting for word from Jake. And then after the announcement, stay with me, or stay with the channel, because I'll come back afterwards. So we're going to show this as soon as it starts. Give me a moment here. I am waiting for word. So any second now, we're going to go to this announcement. And I'm going to come back after. That's the plan, at least. Okay, here's the announcement.
Good evening. Today I have the privilege of briefing President Trump on my recent visit to Pyongyang, North Korea. I'd like to thank President Trump, the Vice President, and his wonderful national security team, including my close friend, General McMaster. I explained to President Trump that his leadership and his maximum pressure policy, together with international solidarity, brought us to this juncture. I expressed President Moon Jae-in's personal gratitude for President Trump's leadership. I told President Trump that in our meeting, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said he is committed to denuclearization. Kim pledged that North Korea will refrain from any further nuclear or missile tests. He understands that the routine joint military exercises between the Republic of Korea and the United States must continue. And he expressed his eagerness to meet President Trump as soon as possible. President Trump appreciated the briefing and said he would meet Kim Jong-un by May to achieve permanent denuclearization. The Republic of Korea, along with the United States, Japan, and our many partners around the world, remain fully and resolutely committed to the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Along with President Trump, we are optimistic about continuing a diplomatic process to test the possibility of a peaceful resolution. The Republic of Korea, the United States, and our partners stand together in insisting that we not repeat the mistakes of the past, and that the pressure will continue until North Korea matches its words with concrete actions. Thank you.
Any preconditions, sir?
Can Kim Jong-un be trusted, sir?
You heard it there, Chris. Chris, you heard the announcement there that the president and North Korean leaders will meet apparently.
Okay, so look, that was the announcement from the South Korean official. It was a very short announcement. I want to play it again because I heard him say something and I want to be sure he said what I thought he said. So let me just cue up this announcement right now. Here we go. So we're going to play it again for you. This is the announcement. We're going to play it again and then I will talk about it with you after. So let's watch this again and listen to it again. Hang on, guys.
Pyongyang, North Korea. I'd like to thank President Trump, the Vice President, and his wonderful national security team, including my close friend, General Master. I explained to President Trump that his leadership and his maximum pressure policy, together with international solidarity, brought us to this juncture. I expressed President Moon Jae-in's personal gratitude for President Trump's leadership. I told President Trump that in our meeting, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said he is committed to denuclearization. Kim pledged that North Korea will refrain from any further nuclear or missile tests. He understands that the routine joint military exercises between the Republic of Korea and the United States must continue. And he expressed his eagerness to meet President Trump as soon as possible. President Trump appreciated the briefing and said he would meet Kim Jong-un by May to achieve permanent denuclearization. The Republic of Korea, along with the United States, Japan, and our many partners around the world, remain fully and resolutely committed to the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Along with President Trump, we are optimistic about continuing a diplomatic process to test the possibility of a peaceful resolution. The Republic of Korea, the United States, and our partners stand together in insisting that we not repeat the mistakes of the past, and that the pressure will continue until North Korea matches its words with concrete actions. Thank you.
Okay, so here's the thing I heard him say, and I think there might have been not the best translation that he gave. So he said, if I heard this right, he said President Trump will meet with Kim Jong-un sometime before May to achieve denuclearization. I twice heard this, and that seemed to be what he said. Now, that would be surprising to me if it was true that President Trump has already agreed to meet with Kim Jong-un before May. But what he might have been saying was, it sounds to me like something more realistic would be that President Trump would agree to meet with Kim Jong-un if Kim Jong-un was serious about offering to denuclearize North Korea. That would seem a little more realistic. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I have a hard time believing President Trump would just say, oh, fine, I'll meet with him before May, no matter what we talk about. So the way he put it, the person from South Korea, I'm sorry, I've been watching this and I didn't even get his name. We read his name on the year before. But the way he put it is he said, President Trump will meet with Kim Jong-un before May about denuclearization. And it's like, really? So I want to be sure about that. I'm not necessarily convinced that that's the case. Let me see. Now maybe it's just so odd. And I'm looking around. See, there's a bunch of tweets about this, but the tweets are kind of vague. So BBC News says Trump ready to meet. But ready to meet doesn't mean committed to meeting. So I don't know. It's very possible that the Trump position on this is more subtle than it was made by the South Korean official. It doesn't sound. He doesn't have perfect English, so he might have said something when he said President Trump will meet with Kim Jong-un before May. That might have not been the exact position of President Trump. So I would need to be convincing on this. Yeah, see, look. So, again, it's being reported. That's what, as Jonathan Lemire, AP is saying this. AP is saying this. And I'm not convinced this wasn't just a bad translation of the actual position. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And they didn't take any questions after, so we don't know. And sorry about the volume, guys. The volume we pushed it up as much as we could. It was not, we did what we could with the volume. So thank you for the donations, though, from Orphidius and Kent Deppner. And Kent Deppner says, a strategic strike of North Korea would have been a better announcement. Do not fall for this S again. So Kent feels like this is some sort of trick from North Korea, or they're not really serious about negotiating, and that we'll end up, I think, Kent, your worried is that we'll end up making concessions, and then months or years down the road, we'll find out we didn't really get anything out of it, and they kept working on their nuclear program or whatever. So the essence of what was said was that that Kim Jong-un wants to meet with President Trump. Kim Jong-un offered to temporarily halt, I believe, from my understanding, the offer is that he would temporarily halt his nuclear and missile tests during talks, and also he understands that the U.S. and South Korea are going to have their joint military drills. That's a bit of a concession because those military drills over the past couple of years, that's something that Kim Jong-un in North Korea says has strongly said we don't want to happen, and it bothers them. So it's significant that Kim Jong-un said, well, I understand that you're going to have these joint military drills in April. Let's see here. I want to read. So Jeffrey Lewis is somebody I follow online. He studies. He's an expert in weaponry, and he focuses on North Korea. A nuclear expert. This is what Jeffrey Lewis had to say. Jeffrey Lewis said, North Korea has been seeking a summit with an American president for more than 20 years. It has literally been a top foreign policy goal of Pyongyang since Kim Jong-un invited Bill Clinton. Jeffrey Lewis continues, I wonder if Trump's aides have explained that to him, or if in their toddler handing, they have led him to believe that this offer is something unusual. Perhaps he imagines that only he can go to Pyongyang. Then he says, this is literally how the North Korean film The Country I Saw ends. An American president visits Pyongyang, compelled by North Korea's nuclear and missile programs to treat Kim as an equal. So what Jeffrey Lewis is saying, and again, he is an expert on North Korean nuclear technology, and he deals with a lot of arm control stuff, and I think he's a smart guy. He says that North Korea has been wanting a summit for 20 years with a U.S. leader, and he thinks a U.S. leader meeting with Kim Jong-un was very much legitimize Kim Jong-un as like a huge world leader, and he thinks we should be careful about doing that. Again, just showing you some different opinions people have been giving out here. So this was the exact words that the South Korea security advisor said, according to Fox News. The exact words he used were, President Trump appreciated the briefing and said he would meet Kim Jong-un by May to achieve permanent denuclearization. The thing about that, though, that wording doesn't say he'll definitely meet. That says he'd meet Kim Jong-un by May if permanent denuclearization was on the table. But if that's what President Trump agreed to, let's say Kim Jong-un doesn't before the meeting say, I'm open to denuclearizing and giving up all my nuclear weapons. Then it would seem by that quote that Donald Trump wouldn't be committed to meeting with him. So I'm wary of looking at this quote and saying, oh, Donald Trump's definitely committed to meeting with Kim Jong-un. I'm not sure about that. All right, so we're going to take some of your comments on the air as well as we talk about this news about the offer to meet from Kim Jong-un and some sort of acceptance of that offer from President Trump, although it may be a very conditional acceptance. It's not exactly clear yet. Write to me with your comments on Twitter, at Lookner on Twitter, at Lookner, at Lookner. I'm going to read your comments on the air, get your thoughts on this. Also, thank you to Jacob Seals for producing this broadcast. Thank you so much to our moderators in the chat rooms for moderating the broadcast. And also, thank you to some of you donated. We really appreciate your donations. We are a viewer-supported network. We try to be an alternative to mainstream media, cover things a little differently here. So if you like our coverage, want to see more of it, please consider donating. You can donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat, click on the $ at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. And hang on one second here. Okay, I was just making sure I was, not getting messages from my producer here. So let me look and just see if there's any more reaction coming out about this. And I want to get some of your comments on this. Okay, Steve Holland reports the White House is working on a statement about the North Korea development. We heard no statement from the White House. It was interesting. This announcement happened at the White House, in front of the White House, yet there was no statement on White House property, but there was no statement from the White House at all. So the White House is working on a statement. I'm assuming we might have that in the next few minutes. I'll let you know about it as soon as if I get it. Okay, this is a tweet from Nathan Hunt, who I follow him. I think he's a smart guy. He tweets a lot about North Korea stuff. He says, should be noted, Kim Jong-un has stated North Korea will refrain from nuke and missile tests, but it should be noted they make no mention of space launches. That in past North Korea has seen submarine launched vehicle, space launch or submarine launched vehicle? Submarine launched vehicle? SLV? Space launch vehicle? Test as separate from missile program and not bound to moratorium on such launches. Let me look up SLV. I thought that was submarine launch. Hang on, I just need to... sorry about that buzzing. I look up SLV. SLV abbreviation. Launch. Space launched vehicle. I'm seeing space launched vehicle. So this is, again, Nathan Hunt says, in the past, North Korea has seen space launch test as separate from missile program and not bound to moratorium on space launches. Now, I don't know what space launch means exactly. Does that mean like they could fly a plane pretty high and then drop the weapon and have it explode in midair? And that would not count as a missile test? I'm so confused. Space launched vehicle. What's this? I don't know. Hold on. Let me just turn that off because it keeps buzzing here, so I wanted to stop buzzing. Better. Okay. Again, the media is all saying Donald Trump will meet Kim Jong-un by May. I'm not sure exactly that's exactly what was said or what will happen. Let me show you this. Elizabeth Saunders, who's a professor of political science at I think George Washington. She tweeted this. Diplomatic meetings are a currency. Doesn't mean it's not worth talking, but the talking itself would be a victory for Kim Jong-un. And an interesting tweet here from Josh Lederman, who points out, just a few hours ago, Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State, said, in terms of direct talks with the United States and U.S. negotiations, we're a long way from negotiations. So we seem to have President Trump on a bit of a different page than Rex Tillerson, because Rex Tillerson was saying a few hours ago, we're a long way from negotiations. Now, if we take South Korea at what the official said, he said Donald Trump is going to meet Kim Jong-un before May. At least that's what he seemed to say, or by May, which would seem to be very different than we're a long way from negotiations. Josh Dawsey writes, an argument for meeting North Korea's president to Trump would be that no other president has done it. Trump often tells those around him he doesn't want to do things like other presidents and does not care about precedents for better or worse. Interesting thought from Josh Dawsey. A lot of different opinions on this right now. And I'm waiting to see the statement from the White House. I'm still not convinced that, again, what the South Korean official said is that President Trump will meet with Kim Jong-un by May to talk about denuclearization. You know, I'm not sure that he meant, he said what he meant to say, because that suggests that meeting is going to happen. But there's another way of looking at that, which says, well, President Trump would take the meeting if Kim Jong-un seriously committed to the possibility of giving up his nuclear weapons. I'd be shocked if we heard that from Kim Jong-un before May. Maybe I'm wrong. But maybe if he doesn't, President Trump won't meet with him. So I think we need to be careful. You need to be careful about when we have a statement of such importance like that, which is ambiguously stated by someone who's a non-native English speaker who clearly has a bit of a struggle with the language and wouldn't be surprising if they used language in English that didn't exactly say what they wanted to say. You got to be careful about just concluding that's exactly what he meant. Take some comments from you guys. Write to me with comments if you have them at Lookner on Twitter, at Lookner. Let me know what you think about this. I was just sent this tweet by Sam Miller, and this was posted by Washington Examiner's Gabby Morangiello, and she says South Korean officials say the pressure will continue until North Korea matches its words with concrete actions. I don't remember hearing that in the announcement. Was that after the announcement? Maybe I missed it because I was doing a bunch of things here with the broadcast, but so all we have right now from Kim Jong-un is an offer to meet the president and an offer to temporarily suspend missile and nuclear testing, I guess during talks. What are the actual action? We'll see if there's any. But that doesn't mean they're giving up any of their nuclear weapons or their missiles, or it doesn't even mean they're. If he says we won't do missile tests or nuclear tests, they could still be working on their nuclear technology and developing their missiles. Jeremy Miller, one of our viewers, writes this in. He says, "Hi, remember me, please." It's Otto Warmbier picture. "I was young and athletic and stole a political banner on vacation. I was imprisoned in North Korea and came home unable to walk. Days before I died, my father attended the Olympics with the vice president." R.I.P. Otto. That's from our viewer, Jeremy Miller. Our viewer Holly writes, "I'm in South Korea. Hopefully North Korea will denuke. I doubt it, though. I think they will only freeze the program, which means nothing." And as we've been saying, look, North Korea has made agreements with the U.S. before, and they've reneged on them, and it hasn't, and they've cheated on the deals, and it's possible. You have to ask, what is Kim Jong-un getting out of this if he makes some kind of deal? One possibility is he wants to avoid military action. He thinks there's going to be imminent military action. Another possibility is that the economy's bad and he really wants help with his economy. Maybe this is a giant stall tactic. Maybe he wants to keep developing his nuclear weapons and his missiles, but while doing so, hold off what he sees as an imminent military strike. So he says, oh, you know what I'll do? I'll negotiate with the West and look like I'm being all friendly, and that'll take up like a year, and that'll give us a year extra to work on this stuff. Maybe, it's just, now maybe it's something where he just feels our economy is really bad and our only choice for survival is to get economic help. So it's just, I would caution against drawing any quick conclusions about what Kim Jong-un is up to. And also, just if you look at it's hard for me to believe that a regime that did all these nuclear tests last year and the years before, is an authoritarian dictatorial regime, all of a sudden in January said, hey, we're going to be friends with South Korea and the U.S. now, and everything's going to be great, and we're going to give up our nuclear weapons and make nice with them because we've just changed our mind. That seems unlikely to me. So there's some kind of explanation going on here as to what they're up to. I don't know what it is. I'm sure these kind of conversations are going to go on in the White House for days and weeks and months. What are they up to? What's Kim Jong-un really up to here? Our viewer Independent Kafefe writes in, he or she thinks most likely meeting place would be in Switzerland, where Little Rocket Man went to school, nice and neutral, because it's a neutral country, known as being a neutral country. Drew writes in, I don't think Trump is listening to his team and is going off script. He doesn't care about following rules. He only cares about making himself look good. Now, I don't know what, I will say this, Drew, it's an interesting question as to, the South Korean delegation met at the White House today. So I don't know if there was advance notice about this offer to meet from Kim Jong-un. Did the White House know this a few days ago? Did they find out about it today? If they did find out about it today, was there time for a big discussion on it? Because President Trump was dealing with his tariffs stuff. So, it could have been the thing where this has been discussed for several days, President Trump and his advisors, how should we respond? Or it could just be the thing where President Trump told the South Koreans today, this is how I want to respond. Now, President Trump could also change his mind as well. So a lot of questions about, it's an interesting question as to what happened in the White House. How much have they discussed it? Are they on the same wavelength, all the advisors about policy? Now, it seems like they're not, because we just showed you that Rex Tillerson quote from several hours ago today, where he said we're a long way from negotiations, which seems very different than what the South Korean official said. So, interesting situation. Not exactly clear what's going on. Our viewer from South Korea, Holly, says, Kim Jong-un is doing this to buy time. He knows USA is planning to strike. Call me a cynic. I don't trust Kim Jong-un at all. Look at his history. Look, I'm not saying that's what's happening, what Holly says. I think it's an entirely reasonable thing to suspect that he's buying time. They've done that before, where they've agreed to stuff and then not followed through. Something else Kim Jong-un might think. Kim Jong-un might think, look, President Trump maybe he's someone who would attack North Korea. Maybe as presidents go, President Trump's one of the most likely to attack North Korea of any president I can imagine. I could think that Kim Jong-un thinks, you know what? Here's what I got to do. I got to wait out President Trump. Maybe the next president, maybe President Trump will lose in 2020 and we'll have a new president who won't be as likely to attack now North Korea. So I could see a strategy of North Korea being delay, stall until the end of 2020. Hopefully they might think President Trump loses. We get somebody else who's less likely to attack us. I could see that being a strategy. Don't know. Hey, Sterling Archer made a donation and said, I see a Trump-Kim bromance in the offing. Look, maybe that President Trump will surprise everyone and do some big summit with Kim Jong-un. Could happen. Could you imagine the press coverage of that? President Trump meeting with Kim Jong-un, same room, shaking hands or something. There's a bit of an issue with President Trump if that happens. Not only would it legitimize Kim, but he is someone who, treats his people pretty badly. It is a police state there. It is not a free state at all. It is an authoritarian, totalitarian government. He is also someone who's had many associates of his, including family members, assassinated. He had his brother-in-law assassinated, in Malaysia last year. Also, North Korea has been accused by lots of different reputable organizations and governments and authorities of carrying out cyber attacks. There were a couple of cyber attacks last year, huge cyber attacks that they were accused of carrying out of. Also, they're accused of carrying out the cyber attack on Sony, the Sony Entertainment Corporation. So they are, look, President Trump, didn't he put them on like one of the terrorist lists? Trump, North Korea, terrorist. Let's see what this. Look, remember this. President Trump has designated at the end of last year North Korea as a state sponsor of terrorism. So, given that Trump has designated North Korea a state sponsor of terrorism, I don't know if Trump can just go and have a friendly, shake hands, pat you on the back meeting with Kim Jong-un. That might look a little odd, so I don't know. Hang on a second, I'm just refreshing something here. So I want to take some more of your comments. So what do you think about all this? Give me a shout on Twitter. I am at Lookner, at Lookner. We're talking about this North Korea news and letting you talk about it. And again, thank you so much to our moderators who've been in the chat room moderating the broadcast. Thank you to Jake Seals for producing. Right now, Lynn, Jean, and JC are moderating the chat room. Thank you. And Common Sense and Gleno on the website. And once again, if you like this coverage, we do things a bit different from the TV networks. We're interactive here. We read your comments on the air. We also try to not have talking heads yelling and screaming all the time and try to examine different points of view in a calm and rational way. If you like that kind of coverage, well, I'd suggest you subscribe to us on YouTube and click the notifications bell when you subscribe. Also follow us on Twitter at RSB Network. But also, please consider donating because we are a viewer-supported network. We don't have big advertisers. We rely on you to stay on the air. So you can donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat. Click on the dollar sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat. Or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Okay, I'm going to get to your comments in a second. I just want to see if there are any more updates about this. We have a White House statement about North Korea, about the North Korea announcement. Here we go. Here is the White House statement. Let me show you. President Trump greatly appreciates the nice words. Oh, he's going to meet with him. Wow. President Trump greatly appreciates the nice words of the South Korean delegation and President Moon. He will accept the invitation to meet with Kim Jong-un at a place and time to be determined. So he will, I got to say, I'm pretty stunned by this, that he's just giving an unconditional acceptance. We look forward to the denuclearization of North Korea. In the meantime, all sanctions and maximum pressure must remain. This is incredible. I'm tweeting this out right now. Breaking. White House statement confirms President Trump will meet with Kim Jong-un. Wow, that is just enormous news. That is huge, huge, huge news. Hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change the title of this headline here. Hang on a second. I got to change the title here. President Trump says he'll meet with Kim Jong-un. Because that's really the big news right now. That is such huge news. How about that? Here we go. There it is. Amazing. President Trump has said he will meet with Kim Jong-un. I am genuinely stunned. I'm absolutely stunned. Stunning. This isn't even, it'd be one thing. It would be very surprising if the president said, we'll definitely have talks with you and we'll send, our representatives to meet with your representatives. This is even more than that. This is President Trump saying, I will personally meet with Kim Jong-un. And get ready, you will hear people. There will be a lot of criticism out there of people who say this legitimizes Kim Jong-un. I'm not saying you have to agree with that. I'm just saying we've already read commentary of some people who said this. So it's fascinating, just fascinating that this is happening. Incredible. I'm just seeing if there's any kind of immediate reaction to this anywhere. Now, it does not. The statement doesn't give a time frame, as we just read. The statement says, at a place and time to be determined. So look, what could happen is President Trump could say something like, I think it'd be better if our representatives met first. So maybe we'll see some kind of meeting like that. This says nothing about May, by the way. Remember South Korea, the South Korean official said it'll happen by May. This says nothing about this. Because the South Korean official said this meeting is going to happen by May. There's no May or no deadline mentioned here. But it does say he will accept the invitation. Pretty incredible news here. This just in from AFP. Let me show you this. North Korea sanctions will stay in place, according to the White House. Oh, well, that was part of the statement. The statement said all sanctions and maximum pressure must remain. So that's not really news. I apologize. Hey, what do you think about this incredible news? Write to me on Twitter, @Lookner. Let me know your thoughts, @Lookner. Our viewer Aj Shin writes, North Korea is never going to denuclearize. I'm actually going to show this. This is from our viewer Aj Shin. He says, North Korea is never going to denuclearize. History will repeat itself in Korea. There will not be any reunification. There is way too much at stake. North Korea is bluffing. Do you think Russia and China will sit still and watch? Trump meeting Kim as a stunt move. That's what our viewer thinks. This is really interesting because a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on this. Our viewer Holly from South Korea, she says Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize if and when he meets with Kim Jong-un. Capital Step says it wouldn't be the first odd thing by this president. Syntax Error says Trump Nobel Peace Prize when? Ophelia says, didn't Ambassador John Bolton meet with Trump yesterday? So John Bolton did meet, I believe it was yesterday. It was sometime in the last couple of days he was in the White House. I have no idea if that has any connection to this at all. Bolton has traditionally been seen as somebody who's militaristic. He has talked before about how he would want a military strike on North Korea. He served as the ambassador to the UN from 2005 until 2006. Sterling Archer made a donation. Thank you, Sterling Archer, and said bromance. Here is another thing you are going to hear about this. You will definitely hear this remark made about Trump in the mainstream media by some. There will be people who say, President Trump loves strong men. He won't criticize Putin. He praises President Xi of China, and now he's dignifying Kim Jong-un by going to meet with him because he loves strong authoritarian figures. I'm just saying that's something, I'm not saying I believe it or whatever, I'm just saying that's something you will definitely hear in the media. I guarantee you, I bet if you turn on your TV now and wait 20 minutes and watch the different networks, you'll hear somebody saying that. Our viewer P-Cell writes in, maybe he meant to say Kim offers to meet the president if he may agree to meet, but I just don't trust him. Or maybe after tariffs on steel and aluminum imports proclamation, China put the pressure on North Korea to work some kind of deal with the U.S. But you're saying, P-Cell, you don't trust Kim Jong-un. And I think a lot of people out there agree with you. A viewer wrote me, are you on live? They should turn on right side and see that we are. Richard P. thinks Trump and Kim will meet in Sweden. Now, Kim Jong-un, just for the record here, in terms of what an earlier viewer made an interesting point about where Kim Jong-un went to school. So let's just see here. He went to school in Switzerland. So a viewer earlier had a theory that they would meet in Switzerland because it's neutral and that Kim Jong-un went to school there. So who knows? See if there are any more feedback about this. Again, the White House has said, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says, President Trump will accept the invitation to meet with Kim Jong-un at a place and a time to be determined. Very interesting question as to what was the timeline on this. Is it possible? I think it's possible. But might it have happened that South Korea goes to the White House today, not 4 days ago, today. That's when they were there. And did they tell President Trump today about Kim Jong-un's offer? And today President Trump says, okay, I accept. Now, if that's the case, they couldn't have discussed it that much because President Trump was dealing with tariff stuff today. So it's a fascinating question, how much or how little has this been discussed between President Trump and the security officials there? Was President Trump just like, I am doing this? Like, did South Korea say, hey, by the way, here's this offer from Kim Jong-un, and was President Trump just like, yes, I'm doing it? It's fascinating. I need to put on some chapstick, and I don't want you to watch me, so I'm going to do this. See? I can put it on while you don't watch. Much better. Here's another tweet from Vipin Narang, who is a professor at MIT. He says, Monday, South Korea says North Korea agrees to denuclearization if hostile policy ends and testing freeze during talks. North Korea does not publicly confirm this, however. Thursday, South Korea says Trump agrees to Kim Jong-un meeting in May. U.S. officially says under what conditions? Try doesn't mean will? Well, that sort of misrepresents the statement by Sarah Sanders, because the statement by Sarah Sanders says they're going to meet at some future time and place. We'll accept the invitation to meet at a time and place to be determined. And interestingly, in this White House statement, there is no conditions. It doesn't say President Trump will meet Kim Jong-un if blah, blah, blah. It just says President Trump will meet with Kim Jong-un at some point. So no conditions attached to the meeting. Now that's fascinating because that seems to go against earlier administration policy. Earlier, President Trump's policy throughout his administration has been, he's never said we'll just meet with North Korea. It's always been we'll meet with North Korea if they do this, if they commit to this, if they do that. Otherwise, we're not going to meet with them. So it's a pretty stunning switch for President Trump to now say, oh, we'll just meet with them. There's no if here. It just says, we will meet. I will meet with you. It's a pretty surprising switch. Here is a statement reported by Phil Mattingly of CNN, from House Foreign Affairs Chair Ed Royce. Ed Royce said, Kim Jong-un's desire to talk shows sanctions the administration has implemented are starting to work. We can pursue more diplomacy as we keep applying pressure ounce by ounce. Remember, North Korean regimes have repeatedly used talks and empty promises to extract concessions and buy time. North Korea uses this to advance its nuclear and missile programs. We've got to break this cycle. The U.S. and South Korea must stand shoulder to shoulder in applying the sustained pressure needed to peacefully end this threat, and Beijing must do its part. So House Foreign Affairs Chair Ed Royce again says, remember, North Korean regimes have repeatedly used talks and empty promises to extract concessions and buy time. A lot of people are talking about this. As Dave Clark says, this Tillerson quote from this morning, we're a long way from negotiations. So that's quite different than President Trump saying, I'll definitely meet with Kim Jong-un. Now, this is also, I'm going to retweet this. Josh Lederman from the AP said, a State Department spokeswoman said today, we are not going to schedule talks about talks or any kind of chat or anything like that at this point. So, you know what's pretty fascinating here? This is quite important, I think. We've heard some reporting to suggest that President Trump really, when he came to the tariffs thing, it was a personal decision. He had some advisors like Peter Navarro who he was talking to, but this was not a widely known decision. He was not widely discussed. A lot of people in Congress and in the administration were not fully aware of the tariff decision when it was made. Here it looks like we have another decision, a very important one, from President Trump, where he's either making this on his own or within a very small circle. Very small circle. So it's fascinating to see this in the tariff decision. Really, is this some new way President Trump is operating, where he's just making decisions on his own or with a very, very small circle of people? Thank you so much. Joanne Goldsnyder made a very generous $50 donation. Thank you, Joanne. Those donations are what keep us on the air, so we really appreciate it. If you want to donate and help Right Side Broadcasting, keep broadcasting, you can do what Joanne did. Go to the YouTube chat room, click on the $ at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Just want to write something down here. Where did my pen go? It's gone. Well, oh, there it is. Hang on a second. Making a note to myself. And I want to hear more from you guys. So if you have comments on this news about President Trump agreeing to meet with Kim Jong-un, give me a shout on Twitter, @Lookner, @LOOKNER. Feel free to follow me there as well. I post about breaking news all the time, so if you like breaking news, follow me, @Lookner on Twitter. And don't forget, subscribe to Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube and click the notifications bell when you subscribe. You can also follow us on Facebook, and on Twitter, we're at RSB Network, and on Periscope, we're at RSBN TV. By the way, I'm sorry to interrupt with some other news, but I literally just saw this tweet from Caitlin Collins that says, Miami Herald says disgraced Parkland deputy heard shots inside school building, told cops to stay away. All right, I got to look at this later. I'll look at this after we get off the air. But that's new news. That's a different stream. Shimon Prokopets says, a senior administration official said the South Korean delegation first met with McMaster, then Trump delivered the news all in about an hour. Lars Anderson made a donation. Thank you, Lars. He says MAGA rally Saturday. Yes, we will be covering President Trump's rally in Pittsburgh on Metro Pittsburgh on Saturday. And I need to actually get up insanely early tomorrow to travel to the rally. So I can't stay up too late tonight. Thank you, John PS30, for your donation. John says Kim Jong-un wants to be on Celebrity Apprentice. Omarosa. Thank you, John PS30. Very nice of you. Royal Kitty, our viewer, says Kim Jong-un is making nice with South Korea. I'll show you her. This is what Royal Kitty, our viewer, says. Kim Jong-un is making nice with South Korea until the two countries become one. Then Kim Jong-un will try to take over again and make himself the dictator of all Koreans. He's playing nice with Trump to put up a front and make it look like Kim Jong-un has changed his ways. So a number of you do not trust Kim Jong-un here. Our viewer Tom the House Buyer writes, don't forget, North Korea is the largest counterfeiter of U.S. currency in the world. Hopefully Trump addresses that as well. Our viewer James Mins says, if a deal is made, what would it be? Reunification under Kim in exchange for denuclearization? Some limiting regulations on nukes? What? Well, you know, a big question is President Trump has been insisting all along what he wants is South Korea to give up its nuclear weapons and a denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. But look, President Trump seemed to change his policy today on meeting with South Korea. Before he said it would require concessions, and now he personally has agreed to meet with Kim Jong-un. I meant meeting with North Korea. I'm sorry. So maybe, you know, you'd think, well, the Trump administration has been insisting on Kim Jong-un giving up his nuclear weapons. Maybe that'll change. Maybe there's some kind of limited concessions Kim Jong-un could make. Stopping developing the Western weapons, stopping testing, letting them keep a few weapons but not making any more. There's all kinds of things we can imagine. Richard P. writes, Sweden has relations with Kim, and Sweden's president was at the White House on Tuesday. And Sweden's president, thank you, Richard, for pointing that out, did say he'd be happy to help in any way possible. So who knows? Maybe they'll meet in Sweden, and Sweden's president will be will host the discussion. Our viewer from South Korea, Holly, she says, regardless of whether Kim Jong-un meets or not, U.S. troops will not leave South Korea. That may be what North Korea wants most. Who knows? That could be something Kim Jong-un asks for. You never know. Look, maybe President Trump will pull some of our troops out of South Korea. You don't know. Misarg writes in, he says, can and will President Trump end the war with North Korea after all these years of technically still being at war? Yeah, we still are technically at war in the Korean War. Uncle Hotep, our viewer, writes, Trump is making the world safe again. Hey, Sterling Archer made another donation. Thank you, Sterling Archer. He says, I'm hoping this is another win for Trump, but Otto Warmbier cannot be forgotten, just as he told his parents during the State of the Union. It's so interesting because, look, President Trump has been very negative about North Korea and said some really bad things about Kim Jong-un and about North Korea. So to see this sudden willingness to meet with Kim Jong-un is quite fascinating. I'm guessing some of his supporters might not agree with his decision to meet with Kim Jong-un. We'll have to see. But what a day of policy from President Trump. Tariffs and agreeing to meet with Kim Jong-un. All right, guys, I think in a minute I'm going to wrap up the stream just because I really honestly can't stay up that late because I have to get up around 3:30 in the morning tomorrow to fly out. Seeing if there are any more news updates here. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on this story for you. We will, of course, bring you updates about it as they develop. I will be posting about it on my Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Lookner. I post about breaking news all the time. And tomorrow I will be traveling, so no live news updates tomorrow. But in general, we come on the air at all hours with news updates. So subscribe to us on YouTube. Click the notifications bell. Follow us on Facebook, Right Side Broadcasting. On Twitter, we're at RSB Network. I am on Twitter at Lookner. Big thank you to everybody who wrote in and shared your comments with me and let me read your comments on the air. Very much appreciate it. And love to hear from you and hear your different views. A lot of different views we heard tonight on this. And thank you to our moderators. Lynn, Jean, and JC have been there in the chat room moderating. I think Guinevere. I think Real Frank might have been there before. Real Frank is there. Common Sense and Gleno on the website. So big shout out to all the moderators and to Jacob Seals for producing. You can follow Jacob on Twitter at JacobRSBNMusic. We will be covering President Trump's rally this weekend. That's Saturday, starting in late afternoon. We'll be covering the rally, and we will have tomorrow night from Pittsburgh have our normal live stream preview from our place we're staying. So join us for that tomorrow night. And Saturday night after the rally, we'll have our usual late night live stream wrap up too. So we hope you join us. You join us for all those events. Thank you for saying thank you in the chat room. We got 21 Backdoor and Swoosh and Budget Girl says safe travels. Thank you. Poe Slam last. Rob Davies. Are You Handy? Barry H. Alex Collett. Tia Marie. I Dan the Man. Mara C. We already got a place, but thank you for the invite. Aaron McHugh. Jason Thornton. The rally starts at 7 Saturday. The rally starts at 7 on Saturday, but we will be on several hours before that. D.W. Bigley, thank you. Remain Faithful, thanks. And a big thanks, again, to everybody who donated. That's what keeps us on the air. That's what allows us to cover news for you and be an alternative to the mainstream media. So if you ever want to donate to Right Side Broadcasting and help us stay on the air and cover more news, go to the bottom of our YouTube chat. Click on the $ at the bottom of the YouTube chat or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. All right. I would love to stay on longer, but I really have to go to bed soon. I haven't even finished packing yet, so I'm going to be miserable tomorrow. But appreciate you guys all watching and choosing RSBN for your coverage tonight. And we will speak to you soon, I'm sure, with more news. But for now, I am Steve Lookner. I will see you from Pittsburgh. For all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting, have a good night, and we'll see you soon at RSBN.